How many amateur wins do you have?
Oh, well, I don't know how many amateur wins. A few, no, I mean not just maybe a handful, but I think my big wins were the Pacific Open in 1982, my first big win,
That's a major.
and then the same year.
So you won the Mid-Pac Open
as
outright
as an amateur.
as an amateur.
Yes.
That's huge.
And then in November of that year, won the State Open at Hawai.
Another open tournament.
Yeah.
So you beat those
So
again.
yeah, for me, I think winning open tournaments and
Huge.
competing with the professionals, I mean,
Huge. And good pros too.
Yeah,
Because David plays all of those. Lance plays all of those.
Yeah, I think David might have missed a couple because he was playing in Japan, but Lance always played locally. Clyde Regal was playing.
Clyde Regal.
Kaloa Makalena.
Yeah.
It's a really good players.
Yeah, incredible players.
Yes.
Wow. And so those are your two notables, the Mid-Pacific
But yeah,
and the
and
State.
then
And what
in
else you got
'86, with our Daiwa line that we had,
Yeah.
we sponsored an open tournament at Hawai. It was called the Daiwa Open
Oh, wow.
Tournament of Champions. And it was an invitational.
What year was that?
1986. So
What tournament was it that we always talk about? I saw you and Larry Stubblefield having the playoff on the old Hawai.
Oh, let me still. It was probably either the Mayor's Cup or Public Links qualifying.
Okay, so it wasn't that tournament then.
Yeah.
Okay, I was
So-
wondering if that was a tournament I was watching.
So I was fortunate enough to win that in '86.
The Tournament of Champions.
Tournament of Champions, which was an open tournament. So
86.
yeah, I'm proud to have won three open tournaments in my career.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's huge. Wow. Oh, I remember. Of course, I started golfing in '83, so it's right in that pocket, right?
Mhm,
When you're a prominent golfer in the state. So okay, you are one of my heroes too, right? No, really. Like the big names, of course, David Ishii, Lance Suzuki, in the amateur ranks, Wendell Tom, Brandon Kopp, right? Those are the big names, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was like so enamored with you guys because nowadays we have social media, we have telephones, everything you want is right in the palm of your hand.
Sure.
Back in our days, everything's coconut wireless, right? You talk to people, you read in the newspaper, you read in magazines, but mostly talking story. And so in the coconut wireless, it was always buzzing with the names. David Ishii, Lance Suzuki, Brandon Kopp, Wendell Tom. Those were the big names. And so I remember when you used to come to practice at Hawaii Kai, you'd come to practice there every once in a while, hit balls on the driving range. And I remember this one time in particular, and I told you, I saw you practicing and I came and sat behind you and I watched you practice. I asked if I could sit and watch you hit balls and you were nice. I know you probably don't even remember this, but you said, okay. And I sat down and I watched you hit balls. And you said, oh, hi, what's your name? And I said, oh, Kevin. Oh, hi, Kevin. You were cordial to me and you're hitting balls and very, very, very kind. But I just remember back in the day watching you hit golf balls and the sound the ball made and watching it take off low and bore through the air and then rise up. And just, I was a tiny kid because when I started golf, I was barely 5 foot. I'm barely over 5 foot now, but you were tall. What are you, 6 foot?
I'm 5'10".
5'10". Looked like you were 6'2" to me.
Yeah, believe me, even in high school, I wasn't very tall.
Yeah.
I grew.
Yeah, you're tall and lean,
I grew
right?
a little bit in college, actually.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
but I remember watching you and just being so impressed and just in awe. Wow. And then you had that playoff with Larry Stubblefield. I don't know why I was there. I was probably playing in the tournament and I probably finished dead last, and then I stuck around to watch the finish, something like that. And I remember being out there and it was that par 3 that goes along where the driving range is now.
The third hole, yeah, right along the entrance.
Right. And if I remember correctly, did you predominantly play a draw back then?
No,
Or were
actually,
you
I
a
hit
cut?
a fade.
So you were the cut then.
Yeah.
So because one of you took a fairway wood and hit a cut, went out towards the how bush and came back in. and one of you hit an iron and drew it in with the wind. I couldn't remember which was which, but I think that was the end of that was where the playoff ended. I don't remember even who won, but I just remember watching you guys, and it was
What a memory you
incredible.
have. I don't remember who won either.
Yeah, it was, but because you guys were my heroes, you know what I mean? And I just remember watching that. It was incredible, and but good times. But so anyway, so after that, you kind of get into the what year again did you start Daiwa? About then, right?
1982.
Okay, so you were already repping at that time.
I was repping, yeah.
You're repping and
So
playing
actually,
amateur
yeah, I
golf.
won a few tournaments with the Monodine Irons.
Yeah, you too, huh? You and
I
Lance.
played that for years, yes.
Yeah.
I still have the set. I kept it, you know.
Oh, I wish I had mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I went through so many sets of clubs. I'm a golf club junkie.
But it's amazing, we've been in this business for so long.
Yeah.
The technology, how it's changed.
Well, and you know, we've been in the industry for so long. We've seen generations come and go. Now we're in a generation where your son is following in your footsteps.
Yes.
You followed in your dad's footsteps, so to speak.
Right.
And before we get into your son, though, let's talk about your dad a little bit, because he was a prominent figure, right? So I know you just said that he started up the Hawaii Golf Association, which is now the Hawaii State Golf Association. And that is so huge. And I remember when I first started golfing, I was 15 years old already. So I was already quite old. And my teammates were big time junior golfers. And I think at the time, junior golf was only in the summer, right?
Right, it was only summer. Correct.
And so, and I think the final age group is 15 to 17. So
Yes, at that time it was 15.
So if I remember correctly, I played when I was 15 years old. So I had that summer vacation. And then, no, I think I was 16 by that time. So I think I only played 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah, 16 and 17. But I wanted to go back to your dad because, and I know I've told you this before, but you have these things that happen to you in life along the way that just stay in your memory forever. They just make a huge impression on you. So there was a junior golf tournament in Kauai. I don't know why, but it was there. And I believe it was at Waialua.
And you were there.
And I was there.
Okay.
Probably finishing in last place again. but I was there. And then they had a meeting, and it was in the whatever banquet room or ballroom at the little hotel we were staying at, one of those Kauai surfs or whatever, you know. It's a small room, and but your dad is there. He's got us all sitting down, and he's talking to us about code of conduct and etiquette and proper behavior and things like that. And he went through this thing with us, and I remember taking it real serious. I know a lot of the kids are like, oh, you know, like how kids are, right? But they had been playing junior golf since they were God knows how old, 7 years old or whatever. And so they probably heard that speech about, you know, how many times,
10
right?
times, yeah.
But
We've heard this before.
Right. So they're like, oh my God, not again. But for me, first time, right? So your dad is talking about how to dress and how to show up at the golf course. And he went through the whole thing. But the one thing that made an impression on me was he said, tuck in your shirt and wear a belt. And I don't know why that stuck with me.
Yeah.
But it made a huge impression on me, and I tell you what it did. It didn't only make an impression on me to tuck in my shirt and wear a belt, but it made an impression on me to dress appropriately. And so at that point in my life and going forward, I always remembered that. And so whenever I was in I don't know what you want to call it, formal, professional, an environment where you know, there was some sort of etiquette or some sort of form to it, I always remember that. And so I would always want to know what the appropriate attire was.
Right.
And it's because of the impression your dad made on me.
Nice.
Huge. And then the other impression he made on me was, I believe it was, he used to usher at church, right? He was an usher at New Hope, right?
New Hope at Farrington High School.
Farrington.
Yes.
And so that was the other impression that will last with me, because as you know, when you do something like that, you don't get paid. You do it to serve.
Yeah. And he used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, service day probably didn't start till 8 or
Well,
9.
they have multiple services
Yeah.
too, so it's not one service.
Yeah, but he used to go really early and help them set up, set up
Wow.
the chairs and before he ushered.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And they have multiple service and multiple days.
Right.
So it's a big commitment.
Mhm.
And I saw your dad doing that for years. I mean, so that also made an impression on me because, I see someone who has had a really good life. He's done a lot of things. He's well known. He's well respected, and accomplished, and yet he's humble, and he has more purpose in life than just to, put money in his pocket or whatever. He goes and he reduces himself to the servant's level, humble, and he goes to serve strangers in church, help them find a seat. And so that's another huge impact. But
Well, thanks for bringing that up.
yeah,
because,
no, I just wanted to talk about that because I think that's a big part of who you are, and I think that's what's made you who you are as well, because he set that example for you. If I picked up a couple of nuggets, I'm sure you've had a whole lifetime of learning so much
Sure.
from your dad, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then of course now let's go to Aaron, right?
Okay.
So you take that and you pass it on to Aaron.
Yeah.
Now
So my son Aaron, I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been in this business for a long time, but he used to come with me to my golf shows, the HGRA shows,
really,
and help me set up. And he was
Oh.
probably 8, 9, 10 years old. He,
Mhm.
he loved coming there, and he meet all the different reps because, like Les Tamashiros and
all the uncles and
Jay
aunties.
Hinozumis and
Yeah.
Kiko Danis and those guys and whoever thought he would, after he finished college, he told me he wanted to get into the golf business, which surprised me.
So when he went to college, right? I know he played golf in college.
He played college
Yeah.
golf at a small school on the West Coast called
Right.
Notre Dame de Namur
Yeah, that's
in
right.
San Francisco. It's
Yeah.
a Division 3, I believe.
Yeah,
But
still
he-
good.
He earned some kind of
You know what they said? Do you know what percentage of student athletes go on to the collegiate level? Do you know what percent?
no, I don't.
2%.
Is that right?
Yes. So D1, D2, D3, NAIA.
I'm glad that
it don't matter.
he had that opportunity.
2%,
because something
man.
you always going to go
Huge.
remember.
Yes. Yes. So he went there, and did he go there with the intention of being in business or becoming a golf representative?
No, I don't think he went there and he
He didn't know
majored
what he
in
wanted.
business.
Oh,
he
he
really
knew he
didn't know
wanted
what he
business.
wanted to do. But when he graduated, and to my surprise, he played golf 4 years and he graduated in 4 years, and that's really difficult
That
to
is
do.
really good.
So he graduated in 4 years, and he said, "Hey, I want to give golf a try," and I was surprised.
Did you ask him why?
He just he loves the game,
Yeah.
and being around it for so long, like I was around
Yeah.
golf, and he had the interest. So
Yeah.
I give him a lot of credit. He went out and he applied at different companies to just pick up some lines,
Mhm.
and I can't remember where he started, what companies he started with, but after a couple of years, he had the opportunity to represent Puma and Cobra.
Yeah.
It became available, and he was
Yeah.
only 24 years old maybe at the time,
Right.
and so he's still with the company,
Right.
close to probably 10 years now,
Thriving.
and it's a good company. He's an employee right now, so
Last year, you told me he won.
he was actually salesman of the year.
Salesman of the year.
For Puma Cobra.
I mean, come on. At what? How old was he last year?
31.
31 years old. Salesman of the year
Mhm.
for Cobra Puma.
Yes.
Huge name in golf.
Yes.
They Ricky Fowler, Max Homa,
Very nice.
Alexi Thompson. Used to be Bryson DeChambeau.
Gary
I'm-
Woodland right now.
Gary
too.
Woodland.
Gary
I
Woodland.
mean, like, so this is a huge company, and so continental U.S. I mean, they're killing it, and so if he's representative of the year, that's massive.
Yeah, I was proud to know that he won that, and
Yeah.
that they recognized him for that.
Yeah, I remember when I was working at Pearl Country Club, and Aaron would practice there as a high schooler. I think he was when I met him, and he was such a nice kid and very well mannered and humble, and wouldn't you know it, he's still till today same guy.
Thank you for supporting him. I know you have a lot of bit of Puma, quite a bit of Puma in your pro shop, and
because
and I know he likes to come out and do demo days here.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, we try to help out our friends, but we cannot do it at the sake of the business. The business comes first and foremost, especially because we're stewarding the Marine Corps' business here.
Sure.
So I must. In fact, I'm going through this thing right now where I have to, unfortunately, maybe not choose to do business with a certain associate of mine because it doesn't fit into the model. And so I have to do that first and foremost. But, because Cobra Puma is a strong brand and Aaron represents them well and they're doing well in the state of Hawaii, he earns the business. I don't help him out any more than just providing the opportunity, right? Yeah. So and you guys come and support us all the time. You're a regular face out here. So yeah. But more on Aaron, and so he's made you a grandfather, right?
Yes. Yeah. He has a 2.5-year-old son, Adam, doing really well.
Yeah.
In fact, Adam will start preschool this fall. So
and then it starts again, right?
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful. That's wonderful. I know you're going to be really a big part of his life. You probably will be the one who puts the first golf club in his hand.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. He's a little young yet, but we'd love to introduce him to the game, and hopefully he'll like it.
Yeah, shoot. And then you have a daughter.
My daughter lives in Orlando, and I have 2 grandkids there. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, they're so far away, but thank goodness for like FaceTiming. I get to see them that way and see them maybe twice a year. But yeah, so I have 3 grandkids. So that's going forward. Once I retire, hopefully in the next year or 2, and
so slowing down in the business, but other things in life are picking up.
Yeah, exactly. I got remarried a couple of years ago, and my wife and I like to travel. She also plays golf. So
right. And so you recently went to Scotland, right?
Oh yes, 2 years ago we went to Liverpool to watch the Open.
How about that?
That was incredible.
I mean, guys, how many guys, golfing guys, have a wife that wants to go watch the Open Championship, right? Not many. So bonus, right?
Yeah. So in that same summer, 2 years ago, we went to the U.S. Open at LA Country Club.
Oh,
and then the next month we were in Liverpool watching the Open, where Brian Harman won the tournament.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's so great. And you actually caddied in a major.
I did caddy in a major, yes. Like I said, Scott Simpson was my teammate at USC, and we became good friends. And back in 1985, I caddied for him at the Masters, which was one of the big highlights of my life.
Oh my goodness! I remember you showed me at your house when I came over for an appointment one time. Oh
I have the white
yes.
coveralls.
Yes. Incredible.
Yeah,
that's just chicken skin stuff.
So I have that for 40 years.
Oh my
sitting in my closet.
So aside from being at the Masters, Augusta National, what is the one or 2 things that really impacted you at that tournament? Besides the magnitude of the whole thing.
Well, I think caddying and being inside the ropes,
right,
and being on the greens,
right,
that are so, I watched the tournament for 20 years before I even got there, right?
But what about specific to that golf course and that tournament?
Amen corner, you get kind of chicken skin walking there,
I can only
everybody
imagine.
talks about amen corner, right? 11, 12, 13.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. But the greens there are so fast and undulating. It's just those players are so good the way they
and
putt.
you know what everyone tells me who's been there. I've never been to Augusta, but they tell me that when you get there, you don't realize how big the hills are.
I carried the bag for 7 days from Monday through Sunday. And it was a huge staff bag. Back then, they didn't make the lightweight bag. Huge staff bag.
And no double strap.
No double strap. And, you got to carry the umbrella, the extra towels, because it rains a lot there. You never know, right? Rain suit. And carry the bag for 7 days up and down. Those hills are very, they're very steep. People don't realize how hilly that course is.
Incredible.
That was a
Yeah.
great experience.
Wonderful experience.
I would love
right?
to go back one day as a spectator, but
Right.
you know, I would have a tough time getting some tickets. You know?
I wanna see that one day. Maybe we'll go together.
Yes, that'd be great. I mean, even if you just go to a practice round, which is
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, to get tickets to that is difficult. But just to be at Augusta, you know, that's got to be every golfer's dream.
I would love to see that. And by the way, did you know that Joey Castillo went this year?
I did not know.
He went. Ping sent him over there.
Oh, nice.
Of all years, he got to watch that final. Oh man,
What a finish that was.
what a finish!
You know, funny story about this year's Masters.
Uh-huh.
I was actually in Japan during the Masters.
Okay.
My wife and I went on vacation. So I had to kind of find out when the tournament was going to
Yeah,
be broadcasted in
right. The
Japan.
time is all screwed up.
So it was Monday morning at 2 in the morning. I got up in my room.
Good for
Turned
you.
on the television.
It was worth it.
And I thought, you know what? I'll watch it for a couple holes, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then the tournament never starts to the back nine. It was so exciting from the start, you know, when DeChambeau and
Yes.
Rory teed off.
Yes.
I couldn't turn off the television. So I
Yes.
stayed up the whole night till whatever, 8 in the morning, Japan time, to watch the finish.
Yeah. I promised one of our coworkers here, Kendrick and I, has a daughter who plays high school golf now, and I promised him that I would help her, and I would make it a point to help her out on Sunday mornings. So I wanted to be good to my word. So I got here that Sunday morning, and we worked on her game. And as soon as we were done, I hopped in my car and went straight back home,
Oh.
turned it on, and watched the whole thing
Oh,
too.
it just started.
I missed the first hole,
Okay.
but you know, because of modern technology, you
You
can
can-
go back, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So-
yes.
So I saw the whole thing, and I was shocked when I got there, and I saw the scores. I looked at the leader.
yeah, he caught DeChambeau caught Rory 2 strokes on the first hole already.
It was insane.
And then he went ahead on number 2, and you thought like, oh my gosh.
I thought I was looking at the wrong leaderboard. I was, wait, what's going on?
Right.
It's crazy, but yeah. But what a day that was, and you know, not Rory's best golf ever, but of course he was carrying the huge monkey on his back, right? The gorilla on his back.
Exactly. For 10 years.
Yeah. So, but what's so incredible is you see him succumb to the pressure, then dig deep and rise above it, and then succumb and then rise above it and eventually prevail. I mean,
Yeah.
boy, that roller coaster went a couple of.
For a while, sure looked like he didn't want to win
It
it.
was
right?
incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. I'm glad he got that monkey off
I
his
am
back.
so happy too.
Oh.
I'm a huge fan. Rory
Yeah.
McIlroy is like my favorite. But yeah. So So you got to caddy. You got to caddy in that
Yeah.
tournament.
7
Not just
days. So
be
I'm
there.
glad he made the cut, and you know he wasn't in contention.
Yeah.
But you know, what's kind of cool too is they only played twosomes at the time, and you know we got to practice with like Curtis Strange and
Really?
Marco Mura and Johnny Miller, and like I got to see some really good golf up close.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, yeah, so I know that those days are kind of behind you now, and like you said, you're heading into retirement, but
Yeah, in a couple
but
of years,
a lot
but
of-
I still enjoy the business.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with you,
Likewise.
you, Kevin and Kendrick. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are always so kind to us and
yeah.
easy to work with. You
Well,
know?
thank you, and you are too.
Yeah.
But you know, families growing, grandkids on the way. Soon you're going to be training them up as the next generation of golfers. But just thanks for taking the time to be out here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know we've been talking about this for a while. but
Yes, we have.
Thanks
and
for
I'm
having me.
Glad you made it out. And David Ishii, if you're watching, come on and be our guest. Wendell bring you out, and then we'll play a round of golf.
we'll work on bringing David out.
Yeah, but no pressure. But hey, folks, just remember, okay, now like, subscribe, share this video. And in June, remember June, it's the Ion cart. Is that what it's called?
Vote.
Why did I say
Bag
Ion?
Boy Vote electric cart.
Okay, Bag Boy Vote electric cart. We're gonna sell it in the shop. If you like, subscribe, share, and tell us you saw this video, we're gonna give you 15% off on that purchase. All right. Wendell, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kevin.
I really appreciate
it.
you, not only for being here, but for all the years of friendship
I
and good
appreciate the
service.
friendship also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, aloha, folks, and we'll see you at the Klipper.
Thank you.